This is the HaltingWinter Podcast. HaltingWinter is a coaching and consulting company dedicated to helping leaders and organizations operate at peak performance. If we can help you, hit us up. Let us know. HaltingWinter.com. Today, I want to do just a quick little podcast on a topic that I'm pretty passionate about, and that I hear often. I often hear this statement, man, I gotta find balance. If only I could achieve balance in life. And my response to that has been the same for over a decade, and that's this: balance is overrated. In fact, I would argue that balance is impossible. When you think about balance, if you're watching the video, this is a pencil. I want you to imagine, if you're listening, a pencil. A pencil, to achieve balance, right? I'm going to put it on my finger. But to achieve balance is not to find the center. To achieve balance, we think that. I just got to find the center. But once even if you didn't sharpen this pencil's already sharpened, but even if it wasn't sharpened, the eraser is heavier, right? You've got this little metal band or whatever, this tin band around it, which is going to make that end heavier. So to achieve balance, I've got to continually find the sweet spot to hold that balance. And as the end sharpens, right, as I use the other end, I'm sure the eraser, I can use that quite a bit, and it's not going to it'll affect a little bit. But as I use this end where I write and whittle that down, it's going to affect my point of balance until, right, I have a much smaller pencil. Pencil has been used more, sharpened more. It's going to affect balance. So I'm constantly adjusting, trying to figure out where this healthy balance is. I want you to think about your life. Let's just think about balance in light of life, right? You have to sleep. You should sleep 7 to 8 hours a night. Well, I'm not gonna hang out with my friends 7 to 8 hours a day. So are now my relationships out of balance because I sleep more than I have friendships? Is my marriage out of balance because I work, right? You work, 8 hours a day? Even, 4-hour work day. Great. So are you trying to do everything in fours? I'm going to work 4 hours. I'm going to hang out with my kids for 4 hours. I'm going to be married, focus on my marriage for 4 hours. No, you would never think that way. Balance is not about, often we think of balance, I got to keep everything in balance. And the thing with balance is you're focused on this center point, right? With balance, you're focused, like, think about the high wire act. Think about, I think about the wire, the cable that's stretched across two skyscrapers over Manhattan, New York City. And the guy's up there with his bar and he's trying, right? You think that's balance. That's a picture of balance. You're just trying to stay on the wire. You're trying to keep everything in place, trying to make everyone happy. And that seems like balance. When I think about the word balance, and this is why, again, they're just words, right? But why words are important is because words create images, and images create emotions, and emotions then create actions out of that. And so if you have this idea of balance, and this picture is you trying to hold on and trying to keep everything together, and it's really all about you people-pleasing, you making sure everyone else is happy while you are the high wire act, right, anxious and worried and stressed out of your mind. That's what I hear when I hear a lot of balance talk. And I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's producing the best thoughts, the best actions. Instead, I want you to think, if you're going to think about a picture in your mind when you think of balance, I want to replace that word balance with the word tension. Now, even that word can create anxiety and stress, but I want you to think about, instead of a pencil being balanced, I want you to think about a rubber band. And I want you to think about, right, a rubber band could be a circle, can be a square, can be whatever I want it to be. It can be a triangle, can be all these different shapes. I just have to pull and, right, mold, bend. See, you are a rubber band, and sometimes you're in seasons of slack, right? You're at rest, you're at peace. And other times you're like, okay, but you're not being pulled. Like, I don't want you to think like I'm being pulled. No, I want you to think I'm giving myself to these different areas of my life. And this is why balance versus tension. When I think about tension, I think I'm being specific. I'm being intentional about what areas of my life and what I'm giving myself to. Maybe my marriage needs some work, so I'm going to give myself more to my marriage, and I'm going to take some pull. I'm going to take some slack away from maybe work. Maybe I'm in a season at work where, it doesn't demand a lot from me. I can kind of coast a little bit. We're in the middle of a less intense season, so I can pull back a little bit. Maybe I need to focus on my kids, so I'm going to focus there, right? You live in this tension, this evolving tension, and you have to realize if you're a rubber band, you can't pull yourself in all ways, or else you're going to snap, you're going to break, and that's what a lot of people do. That's what happens when you're trying to live a life of balance. The problem is you probably never focus on yourself. You never focus on your health. You never do a health check-in and go, am I stretched too tight? No, you're just thinking about, no one thinks about the pencil and thinks about, well, how's the pencil doing? You just continue to use it until it's ground down to that little nub. Remember when you were in elementary school, it was like the goal to see how far you could sharpen that pencil until you were writing with just a little, basically just the eraser. That's what happens to you as an adult. You don't do a health check-in. You don't do a personal assessment. And so your rubber band, you just continue to go, oh, work needs me? Oh, okay. Oh, my marriage needs me? Oh, okay. Oh, my kids need me? Oh, okay. Oh, my friends need me? Oh, okay. Oh, this needs me, this needs me, this needs me. And you continue to say yes, 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 yes. You don't prioritize. You don't live in any healthy tension. You live people-pleasing and just always caring about everything else until you snap. Burnout. Even worse. What you need to do is assess yourself and say, okay, what in my life, what are the quadrants of my life? How can I give myself intentionally? How can I do a check-in on them? But first, really do a check-in on me and go, what kind of rubber band am I? Like, this is a pretty thin rubber band. It's not going to have, right, a ton of strength, a ton of ability to hold. I mean, it can hold a bit. Maybe you need to work on you. Maybe you need to thicken up your band. Maybe you need to stretch out your band. Man, I need to tune up. I need to figure out how to be a better spouse. I need to figure out how to be a better leader. I need to figure out how to be a better, I need to be healthy. Whatever that is. Do a checkup yourself and then check out the things in your life and go, okay, what actually needs my attention? And if I give there, am I still staying the same, or am I gonna take a little bend back from those other areas? If I'm gonna focus on work, see, this is why communication is so important. You communicate with the people in your life to say, hey, I got to work on me for a bit. I got to work on this project's coming up at work. That means that's going to affect this area and this area, right? Healthy communication. And then you then are communicating with yourself as well to say, because I hear this, and this is where I think this balance tension thing gets out of whack, is you constantly live just all out in all areas. You're constantly, right, I'm trying to be the best spouse, I'm trying to be the best parent, I'm trying to be the best employee, I'm trying to be the best employer, I'm trying to be the best. And no one can operate at that level, right, with that kind of intentionality in all areas forever. You can't be full throttle going in 8 different directions. And that's why usually what happens is I'm going to throw everything into work and I'm going to throw everything into my home. And so I'm all in at work and I'm just taking on every project and I'm just going all out. And I'm trying to go all out at home. So when I come home, I'm trying to give everything. I'm trying to be attentive. And you can do that for a season. But guess what? You throw a few kids in there. You throw a spouse who's actually going to communicate and tell you what's going on and what they desire. And all of a sudden you're toast. Because you're not taking care of yourself. And I've been there. When personal health just meant nothing. Just I was running on the fumes of applause and achievement in the 2 other areas, right? Applause at work, applause at home. My family's happy, work's happy, but I'm toast. I'm on fumes because I'm not healthy and I'm not making myself any kind of priority. I'm just all out. And so there was no balance. It was just yes. And so, anyway, just some thoughts I want you to think about have you, where are you trying to balance your life? Is if you just do a quick assessment right now, do you find a lot of stress when you think about the quadrants of your life? Does that stress you out, make you anxious because you've said yes to too much? Or you've created a culture of just, maybe you're not saying yes, you've just created a culture in those areas where they just know everyone can ask anything of the world and you'll do it. There's just no healthy boundaries for you. Like, how do you reset? How do you even, right? It's okay to have conversations and say, hey, I can't. Would love to, but I can't right now. I need to get healthy. This area of my life needs to get healthy. Or maybe it is work. Maybe there's a huge project, but that project better be defined. It better have a actual season, right? This isn't Game of Thrones, winter's coming and winter's here for 3 years. I just see that a lot. It's just a hard season at work. I just need to focus at work. But that focus never ends. It's just continual. You're just always, well, then there's another thing. And then I said yes to another thing. No, that's not healthy. You need to figure out how to live in the tension and be honest with what areas need what for what times and how are you intentionally going about that, right? It's easier. I think this is where guys and even gals who are in the workplace, specifically in leadership, you just continually say yes to the projects, right? That's where you find a lot of stimulation and achievement is getting a project done. And so that's why it's easier to say yes to that because it does have a defined, usually timeline. It has a launch, it has a period. But then it can be easy to go, well, I don't see that I don't know what to do in my relationship. Like maybe we'll go to a conference or maybe we'll read a book or, right? It's more nebulous when you're like, well, what does it mean to spend time together? What does it mean with my kids? What does it mean to, and I just encourage you, these are things to think about. You need to sit down and assess and go, okay, am I just going to, what areas do I go to? Where's it easy to pour my attention into? And how can maybe I do some resetting and think more intentionally, more creatively into the other areas of life that may need something? Because again, you're not going to get those moments back with your kids. They're only kids once. You're not going to, you can't wind back the clock and do a do-over. This is the shot. So, don't live chasing balance. Live in the tension that you are saying yes to. You are saying yes. Right now, the rubber band's going to move in this direction. And then it's going to come back, and it's going to move in this direction, and maybe all of a sudden this came up, so I've got to pull some slack from these areas so I can push the rubber band that way. I want you to think, instead of trying to balance high wire act, instead, think of yourself as a rubber band. You only have so much tension before you snap. Where are you giving that tension? And have you given that tension to one area predominantly for too long, so that the other areas aren't healthy? Some things to think about so that you can become a better person, a better leader, a better friend, a better spouse, a better employee, a better employer, whatever you are. Think about how you can live in a healthy tension. And that really starts with a reflection of you. Assess yourself. What kind of rubber band are you? How can you become stronger, more flexible, more pliable, so you can be more effective in the things that matter? Again, Seth Winterhalter, Halting Winter. If we can be of help, hit us up, HaltingWinter.com. Until next time.